Snacks.
What's good, Lonely Snacks universe? Your boy Jokes here. I'm here with the homie Marcus, and this is the third episode of The Finisher.
The Finisher.
We are coming to you hot off of AEW New Japan's pay-per-view Forbidden Door. We thought this would be a good time to give you guys some overall impressions and our own review of what we thought of Forbidden Door. I'll say in the beginning right now before we get too into it, if you guys did not watch Forbidden Door, I'm telling you, you missed out on a gem of a pay-per-view event.
And I would say pay-per-views of the year, in my opinion.
I'm 100% on par with you with that. From top to bottom, this pay-per-view did not disappoint. So let's just go ahead. We're going to go ahead and jump in. Let's just do overall impressions. How did you feel about Forbidden Door?
Thoroughly entertained. There wasn't any real slow moments. It was gas, and then more gas. And it had a really good build. A lot of great matches. Even from what you would consider the pre-show, the pre-show openings. And it really set the tone for the ride going forward. And yeah, so solid 10 out of 10 in my opinion.
I would have to fully agree with you. From jump, this show was absolutely amazing. Pre-show, all 4 matches, which originally the pre-show was only supposed to be 3 matches, but we ended up getting a 4th that, at least from my opinion, I don't think they announced Lance Archer having a match.
No, there was no talk about that match at all.
So that was a pleasant surprise. So pre-show was absolutely amazing, and then we hit right off the break with the show opening. It never let up off the gas. And it's rare that I think that we've watched an event that it was oh, you know what? This is the match I feel like I need to go to the restroom or take that step off for a minute. The whole show drew the attention the whole entire time. I got to give props to Tony Khan, the guys at AEW, the guys at New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know within these last few weeks, a numerous amount of changes had to be made due to injuries and various circumstances, but I tell you, they rolled with those punches and they made it work. I personally, this is probably going to be going down to one of my overall favorite pay-per-views I've ever watched. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen, and I will tell you, we actually got to enjoy and watch this with some of the other crew and some friends of ours who typically don't watch wrestling or haven't watched wrestling in some years. And let me tell you how they were invested in the presentation that Forbidden Door had to do. So that was another amazing thing that we got to experience at the same time. So overall, just like you said, this was a 5-star pay-per-view, 10 out of 10. I don't know whichever way you want to grade this pay-per-view. If there was nothing wrong about this pay-per-view. We know there was a few hiccups, which I'm going to contribute to possible real injuries and things like that. That I know probably raised a few question marks, but it still didn't take away from the overall presentation that they did with the show. So I have to give major kudos where kudos is due. What would you say was your favorite match of the night?
I would say I have 2 that are pretty equal. And that would be Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, and the Fatal 4-Way between Miro, Pac, Malachi Black, and I forgot the other guy's name.
Clark
Connors, yeah. I would say those would be my 2 favorite matches. Really well put together, especially since one of them just had someone thrown in at the last minute. And of course, they all shine shined very brightly, and they did all of their technical stuff, technical wrestling, and just really blended everyone's styles into like a perfect soup or stew. Matter of fact, yeah, a stew would be a better because you add perfect stew because you add multiple ingredients in stew to make it stew. Otherwise, it's just soup.
I dig that. I gotta agree with you on that. The one for me, just like you, honestly, you just said it. Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay, I think I knew the match was going to be entertaining regardless, nonetheless. But this ended up being an absolute fire match from beginning to end. And some of our friends that watched alongside of us weren't familiar with Orange Cassidy. So when we kind of gave them the overall of what Orange Cassidy's character and what it is, that they're kind of like, man, this match is going to be garbage. But let me tell you how this dude Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay put on a clinic in that ring. And I will tell you, it's even hard to just pick one of these matches as being the best overall, because every single match that they put on, literally from beginning to end, was just amazing. Like, it got you invested into it. Spots that occurred during the match, I gotta give, just like you said, props. Miro looked absolutely amazing, and my man dominated. He dominated that match from beginning to end. And there's no hiding the fact that this dude is championship caliber. I can't wait till he gets a belt around his waist. But Pac taking that W, I feel like has been overdue for a very long time. I remember when we first started the AEW journey, he was supposed to have that championship match with Kenny Omega, but due to certain circumstances, of course, the match never could actually get underway the way that it should. But I tell you, that match was, whenever you do like a fatal four-way, any type of match that involves, more than just two competitors, you always take that fear that somebody's going to get forgotten, someone's not going to get that couple seconds of spotlight through the show. But they all, including Clark Connors, who personally I don't watch. Like, I watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't watch him as frequently. But let me tell you how this put my eyes on the Clark Connors. And like, he's one that definitely to keep eyes on, because he performed well in this match as well too. And all four men had their awesome spots. There was just no, like, at one point we was like, oh yeah, Miro's gonna walk away with this victory like
I mean, nothing. For 99% of the match, Miro was dominating in the match. Like, he was clearly like, somehow like a swerve happened. We was just like, all right, we're not gonna give you this. We're gonna give you a different title. So just like bear in mind, because matter of fact, I don't think he was the one that was pinned at the end of the match. Yeah, he wasn't.
It wasn't. It wasn't him.
He wasn't even pinned in the. That's how dominating he was.
Yeah.
He dominated 99% of that match, and it was like, all right, I didn't help you guys carry the match. All right, you guys can do your finish now, and then I'm just gonna be off to the side, recuperating, because I'm tired.
My man carried, like, it took one mistake. My man set that table up thinking he was gonna put somebody through the table, and that wasn't
him. That was Malachi. Malachi set the table.
Oh, Malachi set it up, but he was involved in that, and it ended up not going his way for it. But yeah, that match was absolutely amazing. Like, I have all the matches here, and like, I've just been writing down notes and everything for this match, and there's just so many awesome spots that happen. Let's talk about another match. The IWGP and Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match. These three tag teams went in and tore the house down. FTR took the victory. FTR are, I tell you, currently probably are the best tag team that can do this right now. Between them and we'll talk like the Usos, like, I would love to see the two of them being able to compete one more time, because the FTR went in, and of course, we almost, like, for a minute, we were all scared, because that was Dax that went out.
Yeah, Dax.
And that was early on in the match.
I think he re-injured like his shoulder. It looked like
like
his shoulder.
He went out maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes into the match. It was a weird landing or whatnot ever. And then when the tag was made, it was like that whole transition of Dash getting in the ring, and he just rolled right out. Dash kind of went out after him. Like, it was a little awkwardness in the way that it was done. And then they ended up helping him back to the back. And we didn't know if he was going to come back out for the match. So I was
that
like,
was like a good 5-6 minutes of like pure, all right, we gotta stall for time, and they'll let us know if he's like not coming back. But like, yeah.
But when I tell you, my man, while he was back to Dash, he did his thing solo versus Jeff Cobb, Great Khan, and Roppongi Vice. Like, he was holding his own until Dax came back. And then Dax came back, and man, when I tell you, the audience erupted when this dude came down. You could tell shoulder was taped up. Like, he had the super tape, like that muscle, that black muscle tape and everything on. I was like, yo, my man is coming down here to finish this match. And I will tell you, if that was a serious injury, he worked through it, and it was almost a point where you couldn't even really tell. So I got to give him props. That match was absolutely amazing. Let's talk about our surprise AEW debut. So we know Bryan Danielson, of course, could not compete due to injury, and he was not going to be medically cleared. But he guaranteed us that someone was going to take his spot to take on Zack Sabre Jr., and that we were going to be amazed by who it was and what they can do. And I will tell you, my man did not lie. When I tell you, Claudio, for those that aren't familiar, aka or formerly known as Cesaro, made his AEW debut, and boy, oh boy, was it a joy to finally see this dude back in a ring again.
The King of Swing.
The King of Swing has made his way over, and between him and Zack Sabre, they also put on one hell of a match. And that, like, I will tell you, before we get too far into that match, the other piece of this whole entire thing that made it even more worthwhile was the audience, the fans. Like, you could tell that everybody was invested in this from the beginning to the end. The cheering, the boo, like everything that you could possibly want to get out of your audience was present during Forbidden Door. And
before he even came out, the audience had already erupted. Like, before he even came out, the audience, like, they already knew who it was. Erupted. The audience erupted so quick that the cameraman wasn't even ready to put it on the door. That's how that's how invested the crowd was in this match after Will Ospreay came out. Like, they just automatically erupted because they already knew there's only one option it could be.
Like, we threw our guesses around, and like we had some solid ideas on, especially when Danielson was like, this person is a technical wrestler. So we had some solid people that we thought it was going to be. Like, we said we were for sure Claudio was one of the people, but we could be completely wrong. But when he came out, like, it was just a breath of fresh air to see him back in a ring after being out for so long now. But definitely no disappointment there. He came in, he got the victory. I will tell you that was, at one point it seemed a little one-sided. Like, his uppercuts, if y'all familiar with how he wrestles, his uppercuts be something serious. But Zach had some remedies for some of the moves that he put on, and it put on a decent going back and forth competition between the two of them. definitely one of the highlights of the night. Claudio making his AEW debut. Folks have been hoping for it for a very long time, and we got that, and it did not disappoint at all. I'm looking through here, yo. We could literally sit here and talk about every single match on here. Let's talk about the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So we had another fatal 4-way match. Kazuchika Okada versus Adam Page versus Adam Cole and the champion Jay White. Now, this match, like as I continue, was absolute fire from the beginning to the end. And at the end, there was a little something that it seemed like potentially Adam Cole may have been injured because the ending and the finish of the match was a little shaky. But I tell you that 1%, that 1 minute of action that happened didn't take away from the whole rest of the match. Just like I said, fatal 4-way matches sometimes can be one of those interesting things where somebody can get lost in the mix of the battle and the fight. Did not disappoint here. Jay White is still champion, which means we could potentially see some more crossovers. Maybe Hangman Adam Page may try to come back and do something, but definitely with the fallout between them being both Bullet Club. Well, 3 of the 4 members of this match were Bullet Club. One's current Bullet Club, 2 have been past Bullet Club. And we were asking that question, is Hangman Adam Page or any of them going to end up, trying to partner back up and do this? But Adam Cole and Jay White had their little moments, but clearly that broke down after a while for it. What did you think? Like, what did you think overall of the match in the finish of it?
I think the match was really good. Like you did mention, there was that one split second of like, okay, going into the finality or the overarching end of the match where it got a little shaky because it did look like a really serious injury did happen to Adam Cole. But luckily they were able to smooth that out, get the clean finish, and then we close out the show going into the final match of the evening. So also it was obvious for anyone, well, for most people who know, Jay White was going to retain his IWGP championship. I did really want someone to come out at the end of that match. anyone to come out, but it's just not the right moment for those people to come out at the end. True Bullet Club people know what I'm talking about. If you want to know who we're talking about, you got to tune into the next episode. We'll talk about it then.
I dig it. So let's shift a little bit around. We talked briefly about this, but let's go back to Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay. Now, these dudes put on a show. Now, a lot of our friends were not familiar with Orange Cassidy. So, initially when we started watching this match, they were like, what is with this guy?
Now they're all going to the store and buying freshly squeezed orange juice.
They are. Now to kind of put this match in perspective before we jump too far into it. This match was for the IWGP United States Championship. If you're not aware, the championship was being held by Juice Robinson from the Bullet Club. And unfortunately, it's been at least a few months now, appendicitis. So they actually ended up, at the time they said they stripped him of the belt and they were going to crown the new champion, which ended up being Will Ospreay. As one of our bonus questions that we were having when we did our prediction show, we were wondering if the actual championship title belt was going to actually show up during Forbidden Door, or if Will Ospreay was just going to be kind of like still the champion but no belt. We were pleasantly surprised that the belt did show up along with Juice Robinson, which actually created another layer for this match, because Juice still claims that he is the true IWGP US champion, which seems was leading up to having us see him versus Will Ospreay probably at the next New Japan event. Now, the match itself, Orange Cassidy was being Orange Cassidy from the beginning, hands in the pocket. If y'all are familiar with him, you know how he rolls. Now, this match I knew it was going to be entertaining. I didn't know it was going to be as good as what it actually turned out to be. Cassidy and Ospreay put on a hell of a performance. We got to see Ospreay in his true, and the way that he maneuvers, his quickness, his ability. We saw it in this match. But Orange Cassidy, like, every time I see him, like, I feel like he just elevates it to another level. Everybody just sees him as being like the comic relief. He's just here to just give us a good laugh. But this dude put on a hell of a match. And I was thoroughly impressed. Like, I already liked Orange Cassidy. I have much more respect after the match that he had with Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. What do you think?
I think Orange Cassidy is a gem, is a national treasure, and I don't want any bad things to happen to him. Like, if you've never seen someone wrestle without hands, like, legit, like, he has hands. Don't get it wrong, he has hands, but like seeing someone wrestle without using their hands is always going to steal the show for me. Like, his whole aura and gimmick is like, it will go down as like one of my top favorite gimmicks to ever be created. Like, sure, has someone else done it before? Probably, maybe, but did they do it this well?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
that's my take on it.
Yeah, his gimmick is one of those that, like, you can't, when he owned it, he owned it. Like, nobody's going to be able to come out here and be like the second Orange Cassidy. Like, this is a character that he is him, and nobody else is going to be able to pull something off. And these guys, they tore the house down. Like, there was at least almost a dozen pin attempts in this match, and there was some amazing kickouts that the 2 3/4, the shoulder came up off the mat. Like, there was instances where we thought the match was clear and done. Ospreay hit a couple of his finishers, and Orange Cassidy did not go down. Once again, the audience played a big role in the selling of this match as well too.
There was even some Eddie Guerrero moments that happened in the match.
Very much so. I was thoroughly impressed with this match that they put on. I kind of hope we get a second dose of this match. I don't need to see it like Wednesday. Like, I don't need it, but these two definitely should have another go at it. Whether it's a rematch at some point for the IWGP US Championship, or whether it's just a one-off match. Because this was one of those that I wasn't expecting to be a top tier caliber match of the night, but it surely did it. I'm looking through. You always try to see if you could find something that maybe you could talk. I don't want to say bad about, but where they could do in the improvements at. But I can't put my finger on anything that needed to be improved on in this pay-per-view.
Yeah, like, I'm looking at the list as well, and I really don't see a match that could have like been better or like done more.
I will say, like, this is not a bad thing. I would have liked to see the Gun Club actually in the buy-in. They ended up leaving. That was the only thing I didn't actually initially with that match is I didn't know Billy Gunn was actually going to be in that match. I didn't do the math with the LA Dojo and how many guys were on the LA Dojo team. So during the buy-in, it was Gun Club and Max Caster versus the New Japan LA Dojo. And so Gun Club, Billy Gunn's sons, him, Max Caster, they came out, and good old Danhausen came on the screen and gave Gun Club their new theme song, which kind of set them off. So they ran to the back, which only left Billy Gunn and Max Caster. And when I tell you these two dudes just ran through LA Dojo, like, and don't get me wrong, the guys at the LA Dojo were putting on a show as well too. But the two of Max Caster and Billy Gunn absolutely demolished them. I would have loved to see the rest of Gun Club involved in the match as well too. But it ended up becoming 2-on-4, 2-on-5, whichever way, but 2-on-4 I guess it was.
Billy Gunn activated legendary status.
Oh, like even Sin was watching with us, and Sin for a second was like, "Hold up, is that Billy Gunn?" I'm like, "That is Billy Gunn, my dude." It was like, "Yo, he still look good." I'm like, "Hey, Billy Gunn can still go. He can still go." That would have been my only thing, is to see the rest of Gun Club in the match the whole entire time. But other than that, like, that match was good. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Desperado and Yoshinobu. That match was solid. QT Marshall, Aaron Solo versus Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. Like, that match was good. All the matches on the pre-show, all worthy of being on the main card as well too.
Yep.
And I think that is an excellent sign of the type of caliber show that you put on. That you had to figure out, we have to put some of these matches on the buy-in, on the pre-show. They can't all be on the main card. But this was an example. They could have just added the extra hour to Forbidden Door and just made it the whole show. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody would have been upset about it. But the show was 5 hours. Like, I don't think it didn't end until almost midnight. Almost, probably. It was close to midnight before the show actually ended. And this was one of those, like, if they'd have had like another 2 matches, like, I still would have been fine.
Heck, the IWGP Fatal 4-Way was a 60-minute show.
Mm-hmm.
That match alone was 60 minutes.
And this is where I'm happy when matches get the time. Because when you're told that you only can go out for like 10 minutes to put on your match, it kind of hampers sometimes what it is that you can get. But obviously, with it being a show, you got to regulate times in certain places. But I felt like every single match that was on the card was given ample enough time to build, give everybody an opportunity to do what they do best, and to give a clean finish. I keep saying this, like, this is probably, just personally, one of my favorite pay-per-views that I have watched in a very, very long time. And I think the talent with New Japan, the talent with AEW, there's a change that we're seeing in the way that shows are being presented. The fact that, necessarily they don't do pay-per-views every single month, I think also helps out as well too with the presentation.
I mean, it gives people time to rest, heal up. Because putting on a pay-per-view, and if you did not watch Forbidden Door, they didn't use gimmick matches in the card. It's like straight up, like, basically traditional style matches. Mm-hmm. Like, Fatal 4-Ways has special rules. Triple Threats has special rules, but the tag team match, straight up traditional tag team match. No need for like a ladder match or TLC or any sort of gimmick. It's
those
just
special,
straight up. It's not majority of the card original matches. Original traditional matches, and sometimes that's what's best for your card, for your pay-per-view, is let the talent promote the actual event versus the gimmick. of the
I
WWE.
I agree. There was no need for any of those extra type of matches involved. It was nice to actually go in not having to worry about, some potential dangerous spots and all that. Don't get me wrong. They'll nail them. They'll get them right. But this was just pretty much a pure just wrestling match the whole way through with none of those extra stipulations on board. Lots of title implications within this show. Like I just keep repeating myself. Like this show, I mean, was damn near perfection, and I can't find anything wrong with what we saw for all these hours. Normally, at some point in the show, I would get to the point where it's like, oh, here we go. This is bathroom break time. I had to struggle and get to a point where I was like, yo, I have to figure out where I can actually go to the restroom, because nothing slowed down ever. It got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna have to sacrifice somebody's entrance. I really don't want to do this, but I gotta go to the bathroom. This show from start to finish just executed to perfection. I guess we could talk about now the final match of the night. I know we'll probably go back and I love this pay-per-view. The interim AEW championship match between Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Solid storytelling to build up to this. Guys aren't familiar. You did hear me say the word interim AEW champion. So currently, CM Punk is the AEW World Champion, but due to injury, instead of traditionally what I guess a company would do is strip the champion of the title, they actually allowed him to keep the belt, and they're just going to crown a champion to hold that place until CM Punk is able to come back. At that point, once he returns, our champion currently now, Jon Moxley, will take him on, unify it to give us our single individual champion when it comes time for it. Now, the way that they've built this overall has been Jon Moxley and Tanahashi have pretty much been, they haven't had that run-in for at least 3 years. Like, it's been building to this, but for certain events, I know they were supposed to have a match at some point, and I think this may have happened during COVID shutdown or whatnot ever, so the match never actually occurred. So this has been something that we've been wanting to see for a good while now. Solid match overall. I can't complain. Me and you both, we thought Tanahashi was going to walk out of here. Going to walk out with that AEW championship, which would have been a very, very interesting thing to see. The cross promotion thing between both companies is working amazingly, and I hope we continue to see this. Like, we don't necessarily need to have the event like this every single month, but sprinkling some of those, the Japan stars coming over here. Some of the AEW stars are already, have had involvement with New Japan, like especially like a Jon Moxley. He's been over there. This match was well told. And normally what you don't see is how like the end of this match ended up kind of spilling over into blood and guts that we're going to get on Wednesday. Where this story was pretty much continued during the main event here to Wednesday. You normally don't see that, which I think is pretty interesting. But Wednesday is going to be a big night as well too. But overall, like, their match in itself was really good, and it was hard. Like, I was afraid that one of these matches coming one after the other, somebody wasn't going to be able to live up to that previous match that happened, and that did not happen on Sunday. Like, everything was grade A. This was a perfected stew. I guess you could say this was a Chef Ramsay putting his foot in, like, yo, this was amazing. Like excellent stamp of approval on here. And
this is like you going to the deep south and you get in, and your grandmammy is like, I just made a fresh pot of stew for you. You already know it's going to be amazing.
And I can't, like, I don't have any other words to really explain at how amazing this show was. The building to it, for the most part, everybody had some form of a story, somehow the thing to tie in everything was put together well. We know there was so many changes that had to be done within the last few weeks, and I would say none of the changes disappointed, honestly. Everything still melded together very well. Um, I have to give the mind of Tony Khan amazing props. Like, I think there's a difference between when you truly, you know what? Don't get me wrong, you're running a business, but it seems like when you are truly invested in what you can do, I feel like this presentation comes off a little bit differently, and that's not to diminish or take away from any other promotion or anything like that. There's just something about the way AEW has been formulating their events and putting everything together that just presents itself very, very well. And it hasn't stopped. Like, I will tell you from a personal standpoint, it's been a very long time since I've been amped to continuously watch pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. Sometimes when you get to a pay-per-view, you know what? This is just a throwaway. I don't need to see this match for like the fourth or fifth time that we're about to
keep it fresh. Like, I would say that's probably one of the selling points for this pay-per-view is that it is a fresh pay-per-view. It's not like a reoccurring yearly pay-per-view like Double or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, Double or Nothing, it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I believe AEW New Japan has some amazing writers, and they that truly understand their talent. And it was like, okay, this is what we're going to do to build up. Now I want you guys to go out and do your magic. We're not going to just. This is the finish. Well, this is how this storyline needs to go. But you guys make this storyline go. And I feel like them doing that versus in other companies where it's just like, oh, like, you gotta go by the script, you gotta do this and the other, and not allowing them in certain instances be creative. I feel like that's a detriment. Versus it's the complete opposite in this promotion, where it's more so, all right, be super creative and safe, and we'll worry about like the storytelling later. Type of feel, you know? It's like that old school, like, all right, go in there and wrestle, and then we'll build around your wrestling.
I can agree with that. Clearly, there's story elements woven throughout this whole entire thing, but it's like the execution of the talent is top notch. Like, I can't. No, not one person. I don't care whether they won their match, they lost their match. Every person was amazing during this show. And I don't know how many other ways that I can say that this was perfection. This is like the show that you do that you now have to live up to this standard each time that you do it. Because when you have a whole show, which in total, I think at this point, it was 13 matches. Originally it was 12, but then the one.
Yeah, it was 12. It was originally 12 matches. They added the fourth pre-show of the Lance Archer to make it 13 matches.
And not a single one of these matches disappointed in any shape or form. Like, I know we briefly talked about the finish of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship match. And, you know, unfortunately, the nature of the business, things can go wrong. Somebody can get hurt or whatnot ever. But you have to work through it. So of course that finish was a little, we could tell there was something a little off about it. But even in that one instance, the rest of the match, it was more than enough to satisfy that one little part where it was like, yo, Adam Cole's hurt. We gotta work around this. And probably was a good idea. Just, you know what? Let's just go ahead. Let's just squash the match just to be on the safe side. I tell you, those are those type of things that as a professional, you have to deal with. And when you do it and you do it properly, like, doesn't really make a difference. I attest to their whole match was phenomenal. And unfortunately, it got to that spot, and it happened at the end where there's not too many things that you can do other than just end the match. But if they'd have ended it like, you know, the typical, you know, someone's hurt, we just have to call the match off or whatnot ever. So that's my only, like, I hate that, you know, we didn't get like probably that as clean of finishes that we were wanted from it, but I understand those type of things. Like, it happens, and you just have to, you got to be professional, and you just got to roll with it. But overall, this show, if you guys haven't realized by now, this show was amazing. If you did not watch Forbidden Door, I encourage you to go and order Forbidden Door and watch it, because this was one that if you're a wrestling fan, you are going to enjoy this from top to bottom. If you haven't watched wrestling in a while, just like we had some friends that watched, they 100% enjoyed this show from top to bottom. In mine, they stuck with us the whole entire
the whole show.
time.
The whole show. Oh, and if you guys want to watch it with us, or watch the next pay-per-view with us whenever we decide to watch it, make sure you join the Discord. Make sure you follow us. You turn on that notifications, because we put out bangers, and we have events such as last night. You don't want to miss out.
Yeah, because Forbidden Door, that
hashtag beats and beatdowns. Wink, wink.
Hey, you heard him. You want to beats and beatdowns. But to enjoy this with other people was a pleasure to do. And we want to continue to be able to do that. Forbidden Door was just the beginning, like 100%. Like you heard it from us. This pay-per-view was a 10 out of 10. 5 stars, 6 stars on the Meltzer scale if you want to evaluate however you want to do it for it. But this show hit on all cylinders from the beginning of the pre-show until it went off the air. This was not one that you would have wanted to miss. If you did miss it for whatever reason, I encourage you to go back and watch this show, even knowing the outcomes, because the talent put on a hell of a show. Shout out to AEW. Shout out to New Japan Pro Wrestling. This was by far one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time currently. It was fun. It was entertaining. I'm damn near speechless. And this is
we didn't really talk about it. Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm's match was also a banger. Do not get it twisted. Just because we did not talk about it does not mean that that match must have been soft. No, the match was amazing. Even though there was technical difficulties on the site,
you know what?
For the finish, the match was still phenomenal.
I contribute that to part of the reason why we didn't talk about it, because we actually had to watch that match for the most part after the show went off, because BR Live went down a good couple times. That'd be my only issue. BR Live, I don't know. Y'all got to get it together, because this is happening every pay-per-view now. Because we got cut out like halfway through the match, and then it did
like the very last, like the very end, it was good up until like the ending of the match, because literally after that went down is when the match ended. Like, and literally at the very end of the match.
and we didn't get back in until the match was over. We were having intro.
Man, they were already
next
match. We were like, yo.
I was like, hold on, we gotta go back to we was on AEW Twitter, we was on their IG page, like, we need to know the results of the match. What happened? But I contribute to honest reason why is because we didn't get to watch the match, and then we had the results. Just like, oh. But yeah, that match was gold as well too. Every match on the card was absolutely amazing. So all we can add, hey guys, if you did watch Forbidden Door, please share with us what you guys thought of the entire show. Drop it in the comments. Feel free to message us, because you already know how we feel about this. This pay-per-view was damn near flawless. Anything else you got, Marcus? I think we've set our piece on Forbidden Door. I think everybody gets the gist of it.
Yeah. Forbidden Door, definitely one of the best pay-per-views that have come out this year, across the wrestling universe. I do foresee some promotions taking a page out of their book. Others gonna probably pretty much do their normal routine. But overall, it was a phenomenal show. I'm glad that as a fan, I got to be a part of this wrestling saga, this era, and it's always Too Sweet for life. And for those in other promotions, just remember, you got no chance.
I still want that shirt. I love that shirt. Yeah, you guys heard it from us. Forbidden Door, absolutely worth the watch. Go back and watch if you haven't done so. I think I may actually go back and revisit a couple matches after we get off of here. I loved it. So, guys like what you see, make sure you're following us. Please, by all means, chat with us and let us know what you thought about the show and some other things that you want to see us bring to the table on here. The Finisher is just getting started. We're only on episode 3. This is planning to be a long haul that we're gonna do. We got some special guests that we want to bring on here with us and talk about it. We were hoping to have one on here for Forbidden Door just because how big it was, but you know, sometimes schedules don't align up. And this was one of those.
You know who you are.
This was one of those. The schedule did not align the way that it should. Whatever. The stars, be professional. Roll with the punches. But until the next episode of The Finisher, this is Jokes talking for your homeboy Marcus. Forbidden Door was too sweet. We stamped that. But until the next episode, we'll catch you later. What's good, Loading Snacks universe? Did you think that was too sweet? Well, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe on whatever platform you're watching us on. And also, jump on over to patreon.com/Loading Snacks, where you can support us in everything we do and pick the tier of your choice. Much appreciated.